3, 2.
Go ahead.
Nice. Everybody, so the doors are open, huh?
Doors are open. Hello, everyone.
They're not here.
Great. Perfect. Okay. Those of y'all who are 5 minutes early, thank y'all for being here early. We're going to be starting here in just a minute. Until then, just keep looking at that great graphic of the steak. And we'll get started here shortly. So, Taylor, I just saw Terry was on. Any other familiar names?
Chris Polito.
Oh, come on. Chris is on?
Travis Ellis. Hey,
Okay.
guys.
All right. Well, Travis and Chris, we might not have talked since last time I sent a box of steaks to you, but thank y'all for being here.
Derek, what's up? David Treese.
So I don't know that anyone else wonders about these things, but you might be wondering, like, why do we put a graphic up and for 5 minutes sit here? There's always, like, because we're outdoors today, there's actually always a concern that is this gonna work perfect? Looks like it is. This is great. So I think we're gonna start here in about 2 more minutes. What about on the sales side? Is the team on already?
I think so.
Nice.
Saw Alex Hale, Dedrick's on. Terry.
You haven't seen Mike Holmes yet, have you? Yeah, he's probably not on. More important things to do. Busy guy.
Lori, welcome. William, Aaron Barr, Andy Bantley. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Bernard, John, Brandon.
Hey, you can't read 10,000 names.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. I think I'm done waiting. We should just start. Those who are right on time get to miss the beginning. Shouldn't that be the rule? Reward those that are early. What's the rule at Indiana? 10 minutes earlier on time? 10 minutes earlier late?
And then you're late, you don't play.
Is that the answer?
Yeah.
I like that.
We'll give them one more minute.
Yeah.
We got people coming on still. No, you shouldn't be able to hear us or see us yet. You should see the graphic.
People asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all don't want to see me yet. I'm still in makeup and I'm still changing.
Tears on. David, what's up?
All right, it's 3 o'clock. We can't wait longer, can we?
Let's do it.
All right. Chris, let's transition. I think we get started. We're off graphic now. All right, good news, guys. Makeup just finished. I've never looked prettier. Thank you all for being here today. We're excited to get to come back from 44 Farms in Cameron, Texas. If y'all joined us last year, then y'all might remember the same farm, the same ranch, but we were indoors. This year we thought it's 96 degrees. Let's get outside and take a look at what this place looks like from the outside. So I don't think the camera's wide enough yet. I think you'll see it later. But to my left, to y'all's right, is one big building. That's the sell room. That's where we were last year. It looked like an auction floor where the cattle would come through. Behind me over on this side, you see a flag flying probably. That's actually where they store the cows just momentarily before they go into auction for sale. I doubt you could squint your eyes and see this, but there's fans everywhere. good chance those cows are colder in there than I am over here. It is warm, but we're thrilled to get to be here. We're fighting the heat and some flies. So we were making jokes earlier about how I'm going to go full Mike Pence and have a fly on my forehead momentarily. We should do a giveaway, Taylor, for whoever can count the amount of flies that land on me and get the right answer.
Yeah.
Get something out of that. Well, for those who haven't joined us before, you haven't seen me on a ranch or a farm. Usually we would be behind a computer screen. The reason we're out here is because we do a lot of events centered around technology awareness. You typically see us talking about Arctic Wolf, Pure Storage, maybe Cohesity, one of our primary partners, Microsoft, and some of the things they do. Today, we're doing something different. Today, we're going to showcase a bit of the ugly side of the MSP industry, the lies you might be hearing from other sales reps outside the Center Technologies walls. And if you're in the hunt for an MSP, these are the things that I would recommend you look out for. Then we're going to pivot. We're going to get right out of the tech talk topics and get into beef. Today, you're going to remember Ethan, if you were with us last year. He's the one that taught us how to kind of prepare these steaks. He's with us again, cooking right now, actually. And he's got a guest he's bringing with him who does a lot around the data and genetics of how to make the product that they serve the best. So we'll have him out here shortly to talk with you some, hopefully answer some of your questions. Please make the chat as live as possible and start by saying hello to Taylor. I'm sure you've missed her. Taylor, thanks for being here too, helping us out.
Woohoo!
Woohoo.
Happy to be here.
Woohoo indeed. Taylor, we've expanded the team. Also helping you today, you got Emily, right? She's helping out on the chat. I think Haley's here helping out. You got Sarah. Everybody's assisting, making sure that we don't miss your questions, guys. So if you have anything at all, they might not be mic'd up like Taylor is, but they're all looking for the right questions to push back our direction. So please put those out there. So the topic's a bit unique. It's a little strange. We're taking things that maybe we should hide a bit more, and we're going to try to expose a few of them. With that, Taylor, we kind of took a process here. Sales helped us out. Customers helped us out. We narrowed it down to 5, right?
Yeah, 5 questions we felt were most strong,
Claims.
most commonly used. Yeah.
Lies.
Questions, claims, lies.
Yeah. Well, remind me one of them. We don't need to go in any potential practical order. Just hit me with one of them, and let's kind of diagnose what that was about and why people say it.
Well, the first one is free. Are things free?
Yeah.
What are we even talking about? What's all included?
So you might believe me when I say people get into IT because it's a passion. I think maybe you could all relate to that. But there is no lie there. MSPs are all in it for money. Any business, right? We're all in it to make a dollar. Taylor, I think if I remember right, the feedback we got was onboarding fees, projects, things outside the typical scope of help desk were included in that package. I think I see that more frequently with some small MSP providers. They haven't gone through enough growing pains, maybe enough customer examples to uncover that you can't build a successful, stable model just solely on giving away labor like that. You guys in management are probably aware labor costs are through the roof. It doesn't look like they're going to bridge and go down. They're going to continue to grow. So the lion's share of a good MSP, their cost ought to be in people. And if they're expensive for you, they're expensive for us. So free's pretty tough. My guess would be if anyone sold you on free, nothing in this life is free. They probably backfired and they charge you for something eventually. What is behind it? The second thing, the second thing that comes to mind there, outside of the setup piece, is the project team. Center's done a good job of having 2 separate organizations. So there's really no one stealing from a help desk perspective to put them on a project. Instead, dedicated members of a project team that go out and do the work for you, start and a stop, no being stolen to other projects. And for that reason, I'd say free you'd never be able to sustain a model like that. So it'd be short term, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
All right. Well, number 2, I'm just thinking one-stop shop for everything. Like, can somebody do it all?
I'm guilty of this one. I've said this lie before. Some of y'all who know me well, y'all may have heard me say this before. Every IT partner, I think, tries to be a one-stop shop. But there's going to be pockets, areas where they just can't be. maybe I can support you in QuickBooks, but I may not be a QuickBooks expert in the way you use QuickBooks. Maybe that's a poor example. Maybe I can support you in some geophysical software you use. Fly number one, got me. Geophysical software you use, but I can't be an expert to the level that you have to be on all of them. So yeah, there are some things that I can claim very broad categories of that you could be a one-stop shop, but it might be a challenge to say that across the board, all the things now in IT, that'd be impossible. So what department touches all other departments in a company? Well, the IT department. So fast forward now, let's go 10 years from now. We see manufacturing floors introducing IoT devices. You've got sales departments using all kinds of chat GPT types to make their messaging stronger. Eventually, there'll be more tools than expertise on any team. So yeah, one-stop shop, maybe in break fix, but potentially not in being able to recommend to be an expert in all things.
And is there a threshold on like they have to just be expert enough, or
Sure.
I don't know if
it
someone's
depends to
claiming
me. Taylor, good question. It depends on the maturity of the customer we're supporting. So if the business is relatively new and doesn't have a lot of let's say integrations of other software packages, for those on the call, think your ERP system. How many different integrations to different siloed applications or legacy apps exist? That gets rather complex rather quick. If it's simple, then yeah, it could be minimal need for very detailed, granular expertise. And if it's complicated, then they might need to be really strong. Good question.
All right. Move on to number 3.
I think it's a good time to move on. Yeah. Has anyone identified what flew behind me? Was it a hawk?
They're counting the flies still.
It might have been a hawk. Was it a hawk?
Yeah.
A little
just
smaller.
a little smaller.
All right.
So number 3, we can do it better than you can do it.
Yeah, I love that one. Yeah. So first of all IT guys, all of y'all believe y'all have a better way than everyone else on the call. If I were to ask the best way to restore a virtual machine, we probably have similarities in the chat responses, but someone somewhere is going to say, no, y'all are wrong. This is how you do it. So we're a company of IT people. Our industry is an industry of IT people. So we all think we can do it better than somebody else. The reality is there are things that we do all the time that you don't do. And there's things you do all the time that we don't do. So one of those that we throw out there rather frequently is like cloud migrations. The idea that your organization will move twice from on-prem to cloud, probably not going to happen. Maybe another one's an acquisition. A unique acquisition happens one time in a company's history. Well, we see a lot of acquisitions. Our industry does a lot of migrations. There are things like that you should want to bring in a provider who can do it better. But no, there's no way that someone from the outside could step in, see how y'all uniquely use a product, and then do it better than you can. On the call, y'all probably remember last time we had a meeting like this. It was around Copilot. Do you remember, Taylor? What did Kyle Bigelow say I looked like at my desk?
At your desk?
You remember this?
No, I don't think so.
What was it? Yeah,
Oh.
I got one of my reps here. Brian's off camera. He remembers a nerdy Princess Leia because of my headset. Kyle would tell you that's his biggest pet peeve is MSPs and service providers making the claim that we can do it better than your in-house team can do it. He's probably right. There's elements where I would fight him. He's probably right. We're always going to still be a service.
And if there's I just had a good comment. Jim mentioned like we never assume we are experts in everything just because we're spread too thin.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, there's kind of a back end of that too. Just understanding where you're at and.
So Jim, I think I know it's Jim. I could be wrong. Don't worry about that part. If you've been in this industry long enough, you probably had a very isolated, narrow responsibility. I mean, shoot, we used to have backup admins just doing backups. Well, those days are gone. Now you have to be a wizard of all. Thank God for Google. We can look up answers quick. All right, what's next?
All right, number 4. The promise of enterprise grade security on SMB budgets.
Yeah, expensive things cost expensive amounts. Cheap things cost cheap amounts. There's a truth to the statement. I think where the lie comes in is that you have good people who have left truly enterprise environments. Let's say we'll use the Exxon or Chevron type that leaves and goes to a small business. No, it's different. We bring enterprise grade tools and processes, more importantly, to the small business that hasn't yet matured to that. That's not a lie. That's true. A lot of MSPs try to do that or push for that. I would argue there's two different types of managed service providers today. There's a national provider that already has all that documented and established. There's the mom and pop shop. Internally, we refer to them as Chuck in a Truck. Chuck in a Truck probably worked for a managed service provider, said, I can do it better. He's an IT guy. We saw it coming. And then got in his truck and started supporting customers. That works really, really well for a while. Then it starts to fall apart. And it falls apart for a handful of reasons. But one of those is they're trying to introduce enterprise grade tools, but without enterprise grade discipline process. Without those processes, the tools are pretty worthless. Another reason that we sometimes see that come up, this kind of goes back to enterprise as well, is when an organization scales, you can't have a noisy neighbor effect. Since kind of the migration of going serverless and getting rid of data centers to move to cloud and truly the public cloud providers, we've gotten rid of talking about noisy neighbor as it pertains to IT, but we can still talk about it as it pertains to an MSP growing out of the Chuck in the Truck stage. How does a single person or a two-man shop support 20, 30, or 40 customers? Well, they can't remember all the names of the people, much less the intricacies of the firewalls configuration or how their Wi-Fi is set up. So eventually, yeah, Taylor, it's enterprise in intent, but is it enterprise in follow through? And oftentimes, no. Just look at change management. One of my favorites, everyone's talking about the MGM hack still. I was just at a conference where the casino in Vegas that was hacked due to a social engineering attack. That would have been, that would never have happened had someone on the help desk multi-factor authenticated the call in. Now, at Center, we do that. That's part of our process, but that doesn't mean our MSP competition does it. The rest of the industry hasn't all matured to that level. So, Taylor, I don't know if I'm answering that or not, but that to me is the lie, is that we're introducing both tool and process when usually it's just tool or topic that they're checkboxing.
Well, I liked the point too of the process, like not looking for the tool, but is there a process set up behind it for the checks and balances, and not get Dan in the van like Chris Polito just mentioned.
Dan in the van, that's not bad. Hey, you played softball. How expensive was your bat?
Oh, $300 plus.
$300 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're getting expensive. Any of y'all have kids playing Little League? Mine strikes out just fine with a $400 bat. So I don't get on board just yet with that, but that's kind of my point. It's not the tool always. It's the practice, the standard, the discipline to a process. And the small guy can't live up to that yet. Not consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Are there more? Is that 4 or 5?
That's through number 4. We've got another big one. We're gonna hit on one more. And then maybe I'll see if there were others that didn't make the list, but we're still strong.
I'm curious.
Number 5 would be outsourcing is cheaper.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's true. We saw that play out in the late 90s, didn't we? Everyone went outsource model. It backfired. Everyone brought it back. In that world, when we had that issue where outsourcing kind of had a negative stigmatism, that was when everything moved overseas. All customer-facing, customer support, things like that moved overseas. And that rubs some people the wrong way. Outsourcing when it comes to staff augmentation type projects, my ability to recruit, to onboard somebody, to pay them, to give them a raise after a year, that's no different than your ability to hire people. Now, I'll change that. There are some economies of scale that if we can turn something to an as a service, then fewer people should be able to manage more. We should be able to find efficiencies there. But generally speaking, just like moving infrastructure from on-prem to cloud is not always a cost savings measure, it's just a shift of the responsibility and how you allocate those costs. People are the same. Labor is labor. I am kind of intrigued by the idea, though. Taylor, outsourcing in other industries, does it ever work, or is it us? Do we see anywhere where outsourcing works?
I mean, we outsource some stuff in marketing.
So marketing,
same situation.
The same things, right? What about accounting and finance? Sometimes we see it.
HR.
I don't know if y'all have ADP or you get outsourced security, physical security at times too. There definitely are reasons you'd want to do it. I would say anything at all that has no defined process yet, and certainly anything with no defined investment into it yet for people or structure, I would look to outsource it for an as a service, but not to save money. We can bring in those processes and plug and play, get ready to go. So that'd be the recommendation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
You said other?
Yeah. Well, I want to jump into one question we had before that. Peter Van Ryder asked, what are the cost-efficient options for small business owners who don't have the same budget as medium or large companies?
Yeah, Peter, that's a great question. You too have an interesting situation where I feel like the executive team is starting to look at their own home and what do I invest in versus what's too much. We just had a sales exercise where I challenged the team to try to go Google it. How many security providers, how many IT tool providers are out there? There's millions, and they all have good sales reps. They all tell you that theirs is the best product. Spend your first dollar with them. Center's got a research model we do. It basically takes all the new hot market items, everything from Rubrik versus a Cohesity versus a Dell platform backup, or takes security, what is the best antivirus for next gen AV, and we test them against each other. We do it in a couple different models. One's just, is it good? Most of them are great. But how does it work with other tools? Is it another agent? What does the renewal cost look like? Is it going to be a suck on your budget? And as we kind of piece that together, it becomes obvious where the least amount of money is for the most amount of bang for your buck. So one of those is going to be EDR. You can do EDR with next-gen antivirus for very, very cheap these days. That's a hot one for us. We love the SentinelOne flavor of that. Another one is Threat Locker. Got some zero trust elements to it so that people can't just download whatever they want to download and open doors that IT doesn't know about. That's very inexpensive for the bang for the buck. But yeah, there's a laundry list of things you can do. The hard part is just prioritizing where do you want to spend your first dollar. For me, it's backups. The data's got to be there. It's got to be safe, got to be available and accessible. And then after that, I look for a proactive threat hunter like EDR. Then I look for ways to see the gaps in my environment. Some use vulnerability scanning, some do a full pen test. At the small business size, that becomes a bit tougher. Usually they just go on the trust of patching, which I'll talk about too. But yeah, those are my two top ones. Data being clean and available, and then a proactive threat hunter. Usually that's going to be EDR.
Sweet.
Is that what you meant by that?
Peter. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Peter can tell us if I was way off.
Cool. Well, yeah, I guess just any other ones that didn't make the list that you felt like were the top 5, but just things that they should look out for.
Yeah, we agreed as a team we were going to do 5, and they pulled the team, and this one didn't make it in, but it was my favorite. And so I told the team right before we got on air, I'm going to do 6. One of my favorites is we're doing all your patching. We're doing all your backup jobs. But who's actually double checking that? Who checks us? Now, Center does dashboards. Now, I can tell you, Dan in a van, he hasn't done the development yet for you to be able to have your own custom dashboard, but that's not really a differentiator. A lot of people offer dashboards and data. So we go through audits. We actually have teams internal that check our pods. We make sure that the patches that we're implementing are indeed successful. We're making sure that we're not doing just a blast of every patch. We're following very diligent control change windows. We're only doing the ones that have been white labeled. The 0-day ones, the high security ones, of course, they're happening the moment they come out. But then we also have, like I mentioned, kind of that third-party audit. It's not just a checkbox of are we doing it, it's how we're doing it. So we like that's a piece of it. I've got horror stories from customers that have come on board with Center that tell me that they've had servers within their environment that their old MSP didn't have an agent on, never knew were there, just gaps. So that's the second thing we go through is we scan for where gaps might be. That might be for patching reasons, but maybe that's for MFA. Maybe that's for security tools that we're going to push out. We have to find successful ways to make sure that someone hasn't brought a device in, opened it to the network, and that we're not aware of it. And so for those reasons, I would say the comment, we're going to take care of all that for you, isn't enough. You got to figure out how is it you're doing that, peel back that onion some and see. My take is this too. We have a lot of different industries we support. Everything from healthcare to field networks for oil and gas to retail stores and restaurants. Everyone's built a little different. Center's pretty good at noticing that. What I've noticed is different industries will show up from time to time and say, we are hopeful that you have a lot of experience in our industry. It matters and it doesn't matter. It does matter some. You need to have a certain level of industry experience. But all things IT right now are getting pretty similar. A lot of Microsoft, a lot of security, a lot of backup jobs and recovery. Then there's some applications. And those specific apps, I wouldn't choose a mom and pop shop today just because they know one app. Your business could change tomorrow. Shoot, theirs could change tomorrow. The manufacturer could change tomorrow and no longer have them as a partner. Instead, I'd find someone large enough, robust enough, disciplined enough that you can trust. If I had them build the platform for me as a tack on to what they already have, I can trust that it's going to continue to grow and be good.
Yeah, I just want to throw out a question because you were mentioning it,
Yeah,
but do we have SOC audits? Do we have SOC audits?
Yeah,
Steve
SOC 2
asked
Type
that.
2. Who'd ask that?
Steve asked that.
Steve, you would ask that. SOC 2 Type 2. I think we also went through a CMMC process a bit ago, but the SOC 2 Type 2 is the one that we have to continue to stand behind and serve up. I don't know. Yeah, SOC 2 Type 2.
Audits and just standards, like we follow NIST standards.
A lot of different audits.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but the one specific to what we're talking to is more of that.
Okay. Chris Polito asks, do you suggest some all-in-one solution to reduce the pains of glass for small businesses?
No, so maybe. I probably need to talk to you, Chris, about what that would look like. The reality is an MSP that's gone deep and wide enough in investigating NIST cybersecurity framework and all of the check marks that have to go behind it. Someone helping you with your cyber insurance policies and things like that. They're your easy button. They've already investigated all the tools. So if tool A doesn't play well in certain areas, then tool B might be the right choice for you. But your MSP will know if that doesn't play well with the other tools you've already invested in. So yeah, unfortunately, the easy button might be our industry. The hard part is navigating through all the different sales pitches of every different provider. That's not easy.
Nice. All right. Any others that didn't make the cut that you can riff on?
There's 1,000 lies.
Yeah.
No term. I mean, just think about how a business operates. You have to at some point have some teeth in something you're doing. The amount of investment any MSP does in onboarding is pretty significant. So the idea that, hey, we'll live up to it every month, we're going to re-earn you as a client, sounds beautiful. The reality is it's kind of tough to actually live up to that for a long period of time. So if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Center will cut you pretty straight. You'll know when I'm lying. I look up and to the right. So you'll be able to call mine out real quick. Taylor, is that everything?
Yeah, people are being funny in the chat. We've got a lot of different Dan in a van, Mike on a bike.
The bimbo in a limo?
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I know while we do this little segue, we're going to bring some guys on from 44 Farms, pardon me. We have a couple of events that are coming up next month, right, Taylor?
Yes.
We enjoyed the first round of Twister so much when we were kids. We're bringing that movie back.
Yeah, did y'all know? Twister's #2. Twister #2 named Twisters.
Oh no, they pluralized it. That's awesome. So in July, guys, be on the lookout for some invites for some in-person events. We love doing this virtual production where we bring it to you, but we're going to do some in person as well. I got just enough seats that if all y'all want to show up, y'all can. I think we're showcasing for sure in Houston and in Dallas.
Yep.
Okay. I've heard rumors of a couple other territories trying to get in on that, but right now those two territories are set.
In person.
Yep. July
19th.
19th.
Yep.
Right.
You can register now. That's live. We made our own little graphic based on the movie. So it'll be cool. We'll be talking back up in disaster recovery there. So come join us and watch the premiere of Twisters.
That was
Glenn Powell is in the movie, so we're very excited about that.
Who's that?
Glenn Powell?
Glenn?
Glenn.
Oh, we haven't met yet.
We haven't met.
I was a big fan of the first Twister for the cow that went by in the Twister. Remember that? Y'all remember when the cow went by? Have y'all had that happen yet?
No, sir.
Y'all haven't?
that cow's the wrong color.
Is it really? What was that cow?
Wasn't it a Holstein?
It was
I remember
a Holstein.
right.
Man, look at that. It was a Holstein. You're probably right. Are those good for eating or just milk?
Dairy quality.
Dairy quality.
Yeah, more for milk production. But
Well, that was the perfect segue. So I think now we're done. Thank you, guys. No, so we're going to dig into it. We haven't done an introduction to you before. The team, though, probably members, Ethan, if you were on last time with us, you brought something to cook for us later today.
I sure did.
Excellent. That was fun for me last time. I know the audience loves to watch me eat. So thank you for thinking ahead on that. So will you introduce your colleague here for me?
Sure. This is Kiefer. Kiefer works here at the ranch. And why don't you tell them a little bit about what you do?
Well, my name is Kiefer Peckham. I'm the assistant manager of cattle operations out here at 44 Farms. And really what I focus on is the day-to-day application of what needs to be done for raising these mama cows to raise bull calves for us to turn around and sell, that we then are buying the calves back out of those bull calves to feed our 44 Steaks program, our McLaren Farms program, and Prime Pursuits. So really, I'm hands-on here on the farm, day in, day out with the cows, whether it's the cows, the bulls, calves, whatever we need to do.
We talked only on the surface last time we were here a year ago about the family, the umbrella underneath 44 Farms. Really, we focused maybe even too much on your branch, on 44 Steaks, the retail shop down here, the online center, ways people can buy. I know those that are watching today, they're all going to get a box in the mail with some steaks. And then you offered up a 30% for the crew,
20%,
38%, 55%. Yes. So what is it really?
It's going to be 20%.
20%?
Yes, sir.
20% off on the online market. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So anything y'all want to buy on there, or you can make your way to Cameron and talk to Ethan in person down at the shop here, which I recommend. It's an incredible place, great retail shop with the whole selection. I just walked away with 3 bavettes, some ribeyes.
Oh yeah, you can't beat that.
How about too much?
I think this is a good way to talk about fajita cuts, and bavette's your favorite, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So we're going to get into that in just a minute. We're going to diagram that out a little bit, maybe. Yeah.
I think we'll get into
All right, perfect. Now that's no Holstein cow he's talking about.
No Holstein.
So 44 Farms, we learned last time, is all Black Angus.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And I understand it to be a superior breed.
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. We won't go any deeper into why that is yet, but if that's all I need is a Black Angus cow, and therefore I've got a superior breed, what on earth are you doing with, how are you making it even stronger?
So really here the purpose at 44 is to create the best product that is going to go out and produce for our consumers. So, the people that buy our bulls are the people that buy our females. So, in terms of what we try to do is that starts from the bottom up. We're building those cattle up, correct feet and legs. They've got doability. They can go out and work whatever environment they're in. And if it's a mama cow, they're going to have the maternal capabilities to raise that calf so that we can turn around and utilize that calf and put it into our program so that it can end up down the line with Ethan at 44 Steaks. There's
maybe 10% of my group I have with y'all today that really knows, I guess, the details you were sharing with me earlier about how do you possibly know that a mama's going to be a good mama, that a calf's going to be the right size, that it's going to work itself out. How do you know any of that stuff?
Yes, sir. Well, really here at 44, we're kind of on the cutting edge of technology. We're trying to utilize DNA. So we're taking DNA samples from calves born here at the farm, calves born to our commercial producers out of our bulls, and we're really trying to study how those DNA samples influence the genome. So we're looking at that DNA sample, we're sending it off, we're getting it read. It's giving us an idea of what to expect, and it gives us a little more accuracy on how to predict what that animal is going to do down the line. Okay, so it's going to be a one that bull riders ride. It's the DNA will tell you that? No, not quite, but we can start seeing some aspects of whether it's going to be higher quality marbling. Maybe it's going to be a little bit bigger ribeye or a little smaller ribeye, or maybe this animal is predisposed to be a bigger growing animal. They're going to have a higher weaning weight or a higher yearling weight.
You talked about those are the acronym EUDs.
EPDs.
Oh, I got the acronym wrong.
Oh, you're close.
No one's shocked.
You're close.
All right, EPDs. Those are going to be different traits or qualities like marbling, you mentioned?
Yes, sir.
And those are graded on a scale. Remember, the scale's 1 through...
No, it varies depending on the trait. So,
right.
But it's a tool that we use as producers to help predict what that animal is going to do. So they're called expected progeny differences. And it's a way to compare one animal versus another using the DNA and pedigree information of that animal and actual animal production. So all that's tied up in with a mathematical equation, and it gives us a little bit of an idea of what we can expect that animal to do for us.
So you talked about the numbers you were throwing around right before we came on. Were 2.5 might be the marbling score. What is the highest marbling score we would expect out of a Black Angus cow?
You know, I can't tell you what the top of that scale is right now off the top of my head, but I can tell you, you know, we're shooting, if we hit a 2, we're ecstatic, we're happy, and we're always looking to move forward. And that's one thing here at 44 Farms. I mean, we're never going to settle with you know, par. We're always looking to be the next best thing that we can do and continue to move our product forward, because we realize that down the line, it's the commercial cattleman that buys our bulls that is going to feel, you know, our improvements, and really anything that we can do to help make their lives easier and better. I mean, that's what we're striving to do with our program.
Taylor, it's been a while, but I've been called a 2 before. I didn't know it was a good thing. It's fantastic. So
well, the EPD, right?
EPD, yes, ma'am.
EPD. I mean, that would be a good score, I guess.
I got a lot of marbling, guys. So, so when it comes to your preference, when if you taking a look at data, you've taken that data, you stared at the cow, the product, you know it's high score. Can you now take, if I brought a new one out here, you haven't looked at the data yet, could you eye that and say that's going to score high?
Yes, you can. So after a period of time, you know the pedigrees, you know the animals, you kind of see some trends there that just from doing it and seeing the animals that you have an idea of what to expect out of that genomic line.
So last year we talked a lot about the bulls. In fact, we were talking about how there's kind of an immortality for the bulls y'all have here. Once they've retired, y'all treat them good. If you ever get the tour over here, you drive in this gorgeous area, similar to like what you'd see on TV from Yellowstone, red instead of white, similar feel. And then there's these, like a bull randomly lying down with the perfect shade, almost like a man cave set up for him, flipping channels.
Yeah.
And we asked, what is this bull for? What's that? They're all the retired bulls living the good life until they've now they've retired. Y'all have an awesome program for that. You have an awesome program rolling these through. Where do you want to see this data take it? What's next?
Really, what I would like to see personally is using this data that we're capturing from our commercial partners. You know, we're buying these calves back, taking that data and really plugging it into the registered side here at 44 Farms to see where we can make improvements, you know, or maybe we know that, hey, this line is doing great and we need to shift some of our focus that direction. But really it comes down to striving to build the more perfect product. And in the cattle industry, anyone will tell you there's no such thing as a perfect bull. But I can tell you right now at 44 Farms, we're striving to achieve that. And we're working on the perfect female, the perfect bull. That way we can make the perfect product for folks like Ethan down at 44 States.
Ethan needs it. He needs more perfect product. Can you do back to the analogy you taught me before about the triangle? Give us a little insight into how's that industry built. You mentioned a couple of times buying back those calves, right? I want to tell the group about how the top works down to the bottom and the back up.
Yes, sir. So really the beef cattle industry, the best way to imagine it, and if you can look in your mind's eye, it's going to be in a pyramid shape. And the very tip of that pyramid is going to be your registered operators. So your registered seed stock operations, whether it's Angus or another breed. And then from under there, you have your commercial cattlemen. And the commercial cattlemen are the ones that are buying the bulls that are raised by the registered operators. And so that commercial operator is going to raise that female, and she's going to raise a calf. And at weaning time, that calf is going to go down the line to what's called the backgrounder, which is one step under in the pyramid there. And they're going to go on grass for a little while until they're growing out, they're hitting their full size and whatnot. And then at that point, they're ready to go to the feed yard, where at that point they put weight on them, ready to be slaughtered, harvested, excuse me. But
it's okay.
Yeah. Well, but anyway, here at 44 Farms, we really like to focus on producing that best bull we can, or that best female we can. And when our partners that buy those animals raise those calves, here at 44, we like to buy them back and we put them into our program, where we're able to raise the best calves we can that supply our food chain and our partners.
Yeah. So if I understand that right, y'all are gonna go last time we talked about this, y'all even sell to the rancher that doesn't have the high quality genes. Y'all would sell everything from an existing bull, an existing cow, or even a straw of semen, so they can do their own work. Then you're saying after they have those calves, you're going to buy them back eventually, because that rancher stops at that 8-month mark.
Typically,
9-month
yes,
mark.
sir. Yeah, typically those ranchers are going to stop at weaning time. That's when they market their product usually. And really that's where we kind of step in and we help have that avenue, and we're helping that producer, put that product down the line. And that's really one thing we're extremely passionate about here at 44.
So the DNA and the data you are using, is that in order to create the highest quality for your customers, so that you're buying back the highest possible quality from your customer?
Yes, essentially. I mean, we're looking to create the best product possible, whether we buy your calf back or not.
Yeah.
But absolutely, we want everybody to enjoy just a high quality product, and whether that's the consumer down the line eating a steak, or it's the cow calf man buying a bull from us, or buying females from us. We're always striving to create that perfect product.
Ethan, what am I not asking? There's got to be something you're thinking, going, why is he not going this direction with the data?
Well, I'll tell an anecdote. One of the first times you came in and had a steak, and you were back there with me asking some questions, I was showing you around, and you asked me, can we see the difference on these steaks? The efforts we're putting in here at the ranch, is there a visual way to tell that? And I remember I walked back there, opened up a case of choice grade tri-tips, and just from head to toe on that whole 3-pound tri-tip, just marbling everywhere you look. Just consistency as well with every piece. I mean, there were 30 tri-tips in that case, and they all looked phenomenal.
Do me a favor for the group. Let's go back through it. You have Prime.
You have Prime, you have Choice and Select.
And y'all are really focused on Choice.
Choice and Prime are the only two that we focus on.
Yeah.
In fact, the first 44 cattle that were ever slaughtered and harvested, 50% graded Prime. And it was at that point in time we knew we had something going on.
Someone on the call could Google for me real quick. Just Google how much beef that gets put out there is of prime grade or higher. You'll be shocked on how small that percentage really is.
That's right.
So for 50% to be on that first batch is that's a little higher than industry average, I think.
A little is probably an understatement.
Okay.
But,
Now the choice, though, I want to go back to that for a minute, because y'all told me these really cool stories. Y'all have underneath the 44 Farms umbrella another interest or a company, Prime Pursuits.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And they're working with a small retail operation that most people heard the name of, in order to create a stronger choice grade. Is that correct? Is that wrong?
I'd say that's correct. The upper 2/3 choice is what we're aiming for.
2/3 choice.
And the greatest partner there is. We're fortunate enough to be working with them and supplying that product.
So you'll hear in Center Technologies pitches, we talk a lot about how we want to be like no different than how HEB is in Texas, this dominant grocery store inside of the state. We're going to be the dominant IT shop inside of the state. But everyone on here can relate to Walmart. We're speaking of Walmart. You can go buy, it's not 44 Farms labeled, it's Prime Pursuits labeled.
No, sir. It'll be 44? Under McLaren Farms.
There we go.
Is the label for our Walmart side of things.
So if you want to go grab one out of there, that's the data on trying to make choice stronger and stronger. So lifting up that middle grade. There probably can't be a better value right now than the strength of what that's selling at.
Absolutely not. Our partners there at Walmart, they're providing a really high-end product for a low price that the average consumer can afford, and the best quality protein they can get.
Is that nationwide?
Not yet. Right now we're in the Southeast United States under the McLaren Farms label, but
who asked that?
Tune in.
Maybe the Midwest we would like a little shout out up there. Can we get some beef up north?
We'll see what we can do.
Do people still live there?
Oh man. Oh man. Come on, guys.
Taylor, before we pivot, are any questions on this component?
Yeah, we've got a couple. The first one is from George. Are you fed-ramped or in the process of being fed-ramped?
I'm not familiar with the terminology there. And I deal more with the actual hands-on the cow side of things. But that's definitely a question I can run up the food chain and figure it out.
Cool, George. We'll get that answer for you. And then Derek's asking, when selecting bulls and cows, how much consideration is given to calf birth weight of each?
And for me personally, that's going to differ from person to person. I like to see a little bit more of a moderate birth weight on my cows, especially. And then the heifers, I'm looking for something a little more lightweight. Same with the bulls. If they're going on heifers, I want low birth weight, high calving ease, EPD there. If it's a bull going out on cows, I'm a little less weary. I want maybe a little bit more grow to them, so I'm okay with a little bit heavier birth weight. But here at 44 Farms, we try to provide bulls for every operation. We're whether you need one bull or 30, we're trying to provide the bull that can either cows, heifers, whatever we need to do.
I feel like bulls for every operation is the hashtag that hasn't happened. Hashtag bulls for every operation. That'd be great.
You want me to keep asking some questions or keep going?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Please. Blake asked, from what I understand, most barbecue joints in Texas buy 44 Farms. Choice grade. Sorry, 44 Farms choice grade. Is that because your choice is comparable to other brands' prime?
I've heard that a lot. A lot of folks that have come back after their first experience with the 44 Farm steak have told me, hey, I'm used to buying prime steaks at, Kroger, HEB, and I bought your choice steak and it was better than the prime product that I had from the grocery store. We hear that on a consistent basis. And with barbecue restaurants, it's choice is a really good middle ground for the barbecue guys. If you think about a brisket, you've got to trim a lot of fat off the brisket. And barbecue joints, they recoup costs. They create sausage out of that trim. But when they buy that choice grade product, they can have an excellent product there at a price that they can really afford. The restaurant industry, I've been in it myself 5 years before I started this job. It's a tight industry, tight margins. It's particularly hard in the barbecue business. So 44 Farms, we bring that high quality choice or prime grade product. It's very consistent. That's something we hear a lot from our guys. We just went up to Maybank, Texas with B4 Barbecue. They're actually in the top 25 in the state for barbecue. And Nolan shot a video where he was trimming our briskets, and he said, the thing that really changed my mind on 44 Farms was just every single brisket always coming out consistent. I know exactly what I'm going to get, whether I trim 25 briskets or 2. So I think that's really the advantage for the barbecue guys that we offer.
Nice.
It's a unrelated story, but it reminded me in his question that y'all know Killen's Barbecue by chance in Pearland. You ever heard of them?
I'm not sure.
There's that guy again. He's back.
Grasshopper. Was a cricket or a grasshopper.
Yeah. He was expecting a top 50 finish in the Texas Monthly. He got honorable mention, and he got pretty mad about it. And so he hosted a dinner for Daniel Vaughn and the Texas Monthly group to come down he said to say thank you. And they got there, and I think they wrote something like it was dry and I don't know, lacked personality or some weird statement. So that's what he put on the menu: dry, no personality brisket, and he served it. But his response to it was he was only going to buy the highest grade beef possible. He didn't want that to ever happen again. So he's going the opposite, where he's no longer considering what's the right value for his business. He's going to go the most premier that he can go get nonstop. Now, he chose a different group, a Wagyu grade, and that's what he's decided to standardize on. But his cost to the end user shot through the freaking roof because of that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I think most of us on the call have been to some barbecue joint with me at some point. If you're paying more than $33 a pound, something's really wrong, right? So now you pivot back. There's a shift now in the market. They're looking for consistency and high grade, even at the choice level, and y'all are dominating that market.
Yes, sir. And I can count a couple off the top of my head, barbecue joints that started on 44 Farms beef, and then they actually switched. They decided, hey, we've got a great following. Let's see what it's like out there with other beef options, and they've come back to us and said, hey guys, we want to get back on the program, because their customers, they take a bite of that brisket and they notice the difference. And, at our price offering, you can't just switch to a lower quality product and keep additional margin, because it's not the same. It's not the same product. And I think that's one thing that we've really noticed.
What else are we hearing?
A couple of people are asking questions about what's in the box and how we should cook what's in the box, yep. But I know we're going to get to that.
We're about to touch that one for sure.
Yeah.
I was actually a little bit impressed about some of the sponsorships we've been seeing. Can you talk a little bit about where we can see your signage, at least? What
sure.
Events?
Well, you can see it at Kyle Field. You can see us at the Aggies. We're also a proud partner of LSU Athletics. So you'll see us out there in Louisiana.
Half the audience right now is like torn. You said Aggies,
I may have just
they're probably putting in their
riot.
Like, boo. Yeah, you said Tigers. Like, wait a minute.
And you can also, I think last time you were here, we had just talked about the new song that had come out.
Yeah.
So we are title sponsors for the Low Cash Tour. And if I'm not mistaken, we just picked up another country music artist out of Nashville, Kelsey Hart Music.
Yes, sir.
So we're happy to have them part of the family and us be a part of theirs, and happy to have them.
So I think when I go look for meat, which I do like daily. I go look for the right steaks and briskets and stuff that I can prepare for my family. And I'm often doing that most when it comes to something like Father's Day or some holiday reason. I end up looking at my typical H-E-B, Walmart, and looking for what different brands pop up, or I go online and I look through who are the unique players I never would have thought of until I kind of tripped by it, stopping here and like taking a look. And that's my recommendation to the group. If you enjoy the box when you get it, if you enjoy kind of the scene behind us or the story you're hearing about what 44 Farms is doing, don't be shy. Come take a look at it. It's really nice. Or just come to my house and you can have some steak out of my freezer. Either way.
Good option.
But absolutely love the place. Thank y'all for always hosting us and being such great hosts at it. Before we started, Ethan cooked us some appetizers. They were amazing. He's going to real quick introduce the box, if you don't mind. Yes, and then you're going to kind of pivot to the bavette, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it.
Sure. So the box we've selected is the prime pairing. The prime pairing, we named it because we wanted to see if we could create a package that allows you to truly experience the best steaks that 44 Farms has to offer. So all the steaks in this box are USDA prime grades, the top of the top. There's 5 steaks in it. You're getting 2 boneless ribeyes, 1 boneless New York strip steak, a filet mignon, and a top sirloin. So with those 5 steaks, you'll really get to try the most popular cuts. And if you were to go to a restaurant and order a 44 Farms steak, you'd probably see it on the menu there. You know, the boneless ribeye, the New York strip steak, and the filet mignon. Those are really the most popular. These cuts are designed in a way so that they're thick enough that you're really going to get a juicy steak. You're not going to easily overcook it. And they're small enough that it's good for, 1 serving, 2 servings, feed the whole family if you want to cook them all at once. And I think you guys will really enjoy it.
That is the coolest grasshopper coming over your shoulder right now on camera. Just slowly walking up while you're talking. So you just mentioned that they're just thick enough to probably treat the way that I know you like to cook steaks, the reverse sear process.
I sure do.
So give a little insight into what that program looks like.
Sure. So when it comes to doing a reverse sear, essentially what you're going to do is get that internal temperature to where you want it first. Most folks I find like medium. It's kind of a catch-all temperature. It's red enough in the middle that it's still very tender, but it's not so much that my wife makes me go throw it back on the grill. And that's typically about 100, 135 degrees. So what you would do is take your steak to 130 at a lower temperature. I like 225. I've had a lot of success with it. Walk that steak up in the oven right until it's at 130. Right as it's getting close to 130, I'm going full throttle on that cast iron skillet, smoking hot. I mean, you'll know it's about time to have a good sear when you just see smoke billowing and your smoke alarm is going off and everyone's wondering, who lit the kitchen on fire. That's how you know that cast iron skillet is roaring hot. As soon as you take it out of the oven, you're just going to throw it on that skillet, minute and a half on each side, just to build that perfect crust. At that point in time, you're taking it off, you're letting it rest on the cutting board for 5 to 10 minutes, and you're ready to eat after that.
In the event you want an alternative and stand outside in the 96-degree heat, your other option would be to slow smoke that on a big green egg or something indirect heat until you get to the same temperature internal. Take it off for a minute for a small rest while you get your fire up to about 700 degrees. Burn all the arm hair off your arms. As you put the steak back on, flip it twice, a little butter bath, and you'll be good to go. Right? It was pretty close.
You can't beat it, especially basting with butter. I mean, there's a secret art right there. You go to any good restaurant, one of the secrets of a good steak sometimes is
a lot of butter.
Oh, yeah.
Kiefer, what's your favorite cut?
I'm a New York strip guy myself, but I can tell you the best filet mignon I ever had was a 44 Farms prime filet mignon. So these folks are in for a treat.
All right. Well, that's perfect. Why don't you grab your first show and tell?
Sure.
If you don't mind.
I sure will.
In the meantime, maybe a quick game for those that are going to be making some moments here on the chat. We just talked about the reverse here. I've heard about 1,000 other ways to cook a steak.
We already had a sous vide question. So.
I was about to say, I'm sure someone's going to throw out another option on how to do it. What's the question? How did they word it?
Should we sous vide our steak?
Is it spelled correctly?
It is, and I've learned enough. I've learned enough to say it correctly too. You get a little excited apparently when sous vides are brought up. Yeah. It sounded like.
So those of you all on right now, we had a light fall. So give us 1 second, we'll get that back up. But yeah, so Taylor, I'm a big fan of the sous vide because it is the reverse sear. It's the exact same concept. The difference in like putting it in a bag and putting it in water, that's a little more than I want to do. So I don't own one, but I'm good. I think it's an effective way to do it, and definitely a similar outcome to that reverse sear. Are there more about that?
No more about sous vide, but maybe while you guys are setting up, Stuart asked if you guys know of the restaurants in the Houston area that serve 44 farms.
I can tell you there are several in that area, but off the top of my head, I don't have them, right
Memorized.
now.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do know if you get a little farther west towards College Station, the Republic there serves 44 farm steak.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're all over the United States there, down Houston into Louisiana.
Last time I was at B&B Steakhouse, which is a real nice one in Houston downtown. They had a section on theirs that had 3 of the 44 farms options, and then they had that A5 Wagyu stuff in there as well.
I was at Bar Peach last night, and they had 44 farms on the menu as well.
In Austin, right?
In Austin, yeah.
In Austin. You can definitely find it. We got our first cut out here. Do you want us to pivot off of this, Taylor? Are we
Let's
good?
do it.
So one of the things that we keep saying, the word bavette. Bavette's different than a lot of your cuts you're going to see at the store. You'll see people say that's the same as a flank. It's a little different than a flank. You'll hear people say it's like a skirt. A little different than a skirt, but you do serve it for the similar reasons. So I know, Ethan, what you're bringing to us is a raw one that you're going to kind of show how to prep.
Yes,
you want to just throw it out? Let's get into it.
So right here is our sirloin flap, also
Ethan,
known as bavette.
Spin around real quick. It might be easier for the camera.
Yes, sir. So we're looking at a whole sirloin flap here. Now, this comes off the bottom sirloin, and it's one of the best cuts to make fajitas with. Skirt steak is great, flank steak is great, but I honestly love the bavette. And so I'm going to show you guys today how we trim and make bavette steaks. One quick note I wanted to touch on was knife selection. There's all kinds of different knives you can have out there. Personally, as much as I love chef knives and slicers, I actually think the fillet knife is the easiest knife. They're quite affordable, and it does the best job at cutting up a good piece of meat.
I couldn't agree more. And I think the big fad right now is some pretty expensive knives, or the wildlife out here, guys. Y'all would laugh if y'all could see what we could see. Ethan, stay still.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he's gone. Get this guy out of here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's a yellow jacket crawling over Ethan's back. Maybe we should have thought about an inside cooking, but no, for you guys, we're in the wild.
We're in the wild.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing right here is just trimming a little bit of the excess connective tissue and fat on the outside. And, there's marbling. Marbling renders really well when you cook it. I'll see if I can show you that. You can see the soft white fat.
The angle of that camera is such that your head's getting more of the shot. It looks like then maybe
How's that
You're
looking?
good.
That's good.
Oh yeah, you're good.
So
you
you can see all of the marbling throughout this, and marbling is going to render when you cook it, which means it will go from this semi-solid state here into a liquid. Read that as turns into juice. But this hard fat on the outside here, that's going to kind of impede a little bit. So all I'm doing is just cutting that out, trying not to waste too much of the meat in the process here. And then after that, and this is what we do before you get your product, our butchers are going to just slice that up, make it pretty for you, and then they're going to divvy it out. 12 ounces is what we currently sell our bavette steaks in. That's 3/4 of a pound. And we think that's an ideal portion size.
So this is kind of a funny moment because this isn't in your box. But the reason it's not in your box is because this is one of those butcher's cuts that you wouldn't find necessarily on a restaurant menu. This is one of those kind of hidden gems that if you were to come out here or maybe look online or call Ethan and say, please, he may part ways with a couple of his bavettes. I'll tell you right now, if you're making like a fajitas at your house for a group, there is no better cut of meat than using a thick bavette, maybe even butterflying it down the middle so you spread it to a wider surface space, and then doing a quick cook on the grill. It's a really, really good way to serve
You bring up a great point there. I want to touch on butterflying. So you can see all of that marbling throughout the steak here. And it's entirely possible to cook this whole. And so what you would do is just put your rub on it and slice it when it's medium on the inside. If you really want to make it a fast cook, one of the things I recommend, to your point, is butterflying it. Just cut right across here, and we can start to just peel that out. And this is one way that you can take a thicker cut like the bavette and kind of get a nice even steak that'll cook faster. If you're familiar with trimming briskets, typically you've got the point and the flat. The flat will be a lot thinner than the point, and so that's really where trimming it so that it's even on all sides really helps the cooking process. But we do that. Our bavettes are cut very consistently, so if you buy it from us, all you've got to do is season it and throw it on your grill. It's ready to go.
I'll also add to that, Ethan, your bavettes are very large compared to industry average. Usually they'll cut those down. If you were to buy one from a butcher, sometimes half that, so they can sell 2 of them in a smaller package. I love buying these from here because if you're doing fajitas for a group, it's never for a family of 4. It's for all the families in the neighborhood coming over.
Yes, sir.
So you need extra meat for that.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
You can just see it's got such a coarse texture to it. It really soaks up and holds on to marinades. That's one thing I like about the bavette steak. You know, you can do a dry rub on this, let it sit for 30 minutes, and it's ready to go. But you can also put it in the fridge overnight and just do a liquid marinade, and it turns out really well. It holds that flavor in for you.
That's amazing. That looks great.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. So you have one that's already prepared, or do we eat it like this?
You know, I think it might be safer to eat the one that's already prepared.
Okay. Each their own, I guess. I guess that's what medium is.
Derek asked, when butchering for a bavette, does that mean you don't get another cut?
What do you mean?
What do you mean, Derek? You turn
Derek,
it into
you get many other cuts. There's only 2 briskets. There's only 1 hanger. There's only a couple bavettes, but there's other cuts that surround it. You're not really ruining anything by taking the bavette out. Some don't like taking the filet mignon or the tenderloin out because once you do, you can't do T-bones. But no, generally speaking, the bavette's a standalone muscle that's just a little harder to get to. So butchers typically don't mass produce it. They instead keep it behind. There's other butcher's cuts too. The hanger steak, like I mentioned, they're very popular right now. Flat iron. Definitely recommend considering some of those. I don't travel international much, do you?
I have a little bit,
yeah.
But not a ton.
I understand the European meat markets, they actually do a really good job of grabbing each of those steaks as opposed to sacrificing them for a roast. So like now we're getting excited about a Denver steak.
Yeah.
That's always kind of been inside of one of our roasts, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So we're kind of going back to that. The 4 major meat producers slowed us down on getting excited about those individual cuts, I guess.
Yeah, they do a lot, don't they?
They do too much. You got more?
I have something delicious for you to try.
Is this one's for me?
That one is for you.
Let's do this real quick. Can I do a quick show and tell before I jump in here? Is that okay, Chris? Can we? All right, so here's what we brought. This is bavette. It's been cooked. It's now shown just a bit of pink in the middle. Served with tortilla. I know sometimes you do them with just onions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, not too much decoration on it. Just simple. So that much of the meat in a serving, that much meat to start.
Yes,
That's
sir.
a lot right there.
Absolutely.
And then so from there, and guys, y'all can stay all you want. But I'm not going to talk anymore.
What's interesting about the sirloin flap is actually the oblique muscle on the animal. So it's kind of that stabilizer connection there with the abdominal muscle. So it gives it that texture, but it's also pretty tender. You know, it's not like the brisket, which is that chest fiber muscle that's in use all day long. That's why those muscles, like the brisket, for example, have to be cooked at 200 degrees. They're really utilitarian muscles. The animal's using them all day long. There's a lot more collagen in that. This is something that breaks down at 120 degrees. This is tender. This is ready to go.
They're not using their bavette near as much as they use their brisket.
That's right.
That's correct.
Well, so we were just talking butcher's cuts while you were gone. The bavettes we talk about a lot. Ethan, do you have another favorite butcher's cut you'd recommend?
Tri-tip, another secret cut there from the sirloin. Tri-tip is, so I grew up in California, and my dad was serving us tri-tip from as young as I can remember. my parents moved from Houston to California in the 80s. They'd never heard of tri-tip. They knew about brisket, ribs, every cut that a Texan knows about. When they moved out to Santa Barbara, California, everyone was serving, Santa Maria style tri-tip, and they had no idea what it was. Tri-tip it's almost like a miniature brisket. It comes right there from the sirloin. It has a ton of beefy flavor, just like this bavette steak does. But unlike a brisket, you can cook it to 135, or you can take it to 200, or anywhere in between. It's going to be tender. The texture is going to be a little bit different depending on where you take it to. In any case, tons of beefy flavor, rich, and it's very well priced. I think that's one of the best things about the sirloin, is looking at primals on the animal. You can get a lot of bang for your buck on the sirloin, whether it's a top sirloin, a bavette, or a tri-tip.
It's funny you mentioned that. The reality to me is the ribeye that everybody loves, the strip that everybody loves, the filet that everybody loves, have become the sucker's bet if you're going out and paying for meat. The value, the bang for your buck, are some of these names that are less heard. The Coulette.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, the Picana, right?
Yep.
We want to get those types of cuts now, not necessarily that ribeye. We all love it. Don't get me wrong, but that's what one. You and I were talking about the ribeye connects to the
strip loin.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And
also the ribs. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're exactly right there, right on that rib spot. If you can picture that ribeye, guys, that outside layer of it, the spinalis, it gets really big on one end and really small on the other end.
Yes,
and
sir.
so just depending on where you pull from, you could be getting a very inexpensive roast that's really just the end of a ribeye cut that didn't make it for putting a steak together. So just be looking at those when you analyze them, or glance down in the store, you pick up that roast. One may not look like a ribeye. The other might look just like one. Well, it probably is.
I think we talked about that last time you were out here, is really that chuck end. You can see there's 3 identifiable, you could say, muscles along that seam of fat. And we call it a tri-heart. Whenever I'm picking out a ribeye steak, that's what I'm looking at. I want one that comes off the chuck end. I've just found that they fall apart. They're the most tender. And, traditionally when others are looking for ribeyes, they're looking at just that cap muscle. I really love it on the chuck side. I think it's the best ribeye steak you're going to get. Oftentimes, a lot of folks, would just dismiss it based on its looks alone.
Yeah, Ethan, I know what you're thinking. I'd like seconds.
Of course you would.
Hey, guys, we're going to wrap up. We're going to get these boxes out to y'all. I want some stories on how y'all prepare them. I'd love to know how this ends up being received by your family and friends, and how you enjoy it. If you go to a Walmart and you pick up the McLarens, I want to hear about that too. So let us know how that's going for you. Little out message. I think the industry, not just in the beef world, but in the IT space, is going through some pretty significant changes. Before we started here, we were talking about the cost of beef and its continued increase in price. It's impacting all of our restaurants, impacting our wallets. The guys here at 44 are using big data in order to find ways to make choice stronger. I'd love it if I could get off my spoiled high horse and start buying select meat, even if it was tasting as good as some of the higher end stuff. So thank you guys for doing what you're doing. We're trying to do the same thing on the technology front, taking a commodity and turning it uncommoditized by offering layers of support and value that the rest of the industry is not. I saw one other question had come in earlier. I'm not going to be able to have time, I don't think, to answer it today. Was it Tony, I think, asked it?
Yeah.
Tony, if you're still on, love to sync up with you later. I have a ton of opinions on your question you asked. If anyone else wants to chime in right now who saw Tony's question about how do you scale with an MSP, I've got a number of theories, including one where a customer truly claimed that our model wasn't going to work for their scale, and they issued a model back to us that they thought would, and we've adopted it as well for them. So there are ways that scale can impact that cost structure, and I don't want that to be a burden to your business. So with that, thank you both.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next year from right here, I hope.